What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 3 of Trigun Stampede. Going full spoilers ahead from here on out, so hopefully you've watched this episode. But quick recap. So we're starting off from where we left off in episode 2, where Gosif got blown up by a bomb, and now the whole town is under siege by these bombs, these little like spider crystal bombs. They're attaching themselves to everybody. They're getting primed and ready to blow up. And as this is happening, they find out this dude named E.G. Bomber, or Easy Bomber, is essentially the culprit behind this. And as they go to pursue him, he's overwatching on a cliffside. He's got the whole place surrounded with mines, exacerbating the situation. But he's there to essentially get the plant, because everybody's trying to get the plant, and this town sucks. Because in 3 episodes, nothing good's happened here. So yeah, Vash chases after him, of course, trying to stop him while everybody's trying to figure out what they're going to do in their final moments, because slowly people are being primed and blowing up, and everyone's got a bomb attached to them. Eventually, Vash is able to get E.G. Bomber to stop. What do you call himself? E.G. the Mine, he wanted to change his name to?
Yeah.
By putting a gun to his head while they're doing this whole chase scene. Not going to go into the details of that. And during that time, the 2 journalists essentially rush E.G. Bomber and grab him. So if they blow up, he'll blow up. He knows this instantly. He tells Vash where the button's at. He pressed the button. Everybody is essentially freed of their bombs, and everything is pretty good until, what's his name? Nebraska. He called him Nebraska. I thought they were all the Nebraskas, but I guess they were named after him. Nebraska wants to blow him up with his RPG because he killed his son. Understandable. Vash doesn't want this to happen. And he shoots anyway, giving E.G. Bomber a way to run and get out of there. While this was all happening, though, somebody was approaching the town who was warned that the town was full of bombs and to turn around. And this person has essentially entered the building where the plant is at, and or is on their way to that. But E.G. Bomber goes to talk to him. We find out this is Vash's brother, Nye, or Knives, and he dispatches E.G. Bomber instantly, cutting his arms off. I didn't realize this series was going to be gory. Blood went everywhere. I was like, oh, I didn't know this was that kind of show, because the last 2 episodes haven't been gory, even though there's been bullets and stuff. We haven't seen blood, and this episode had a lot of blood in it, which I was like, oh, okay, this is totally very different than what we got before.
It's also worth noting they knew he was down because he was playing piano.
Yeah. Like he was in the last episode. Apparently it's his thing. So yeah, he's there. He's going for the plant as well. Him and Vash have a brief discussion about, the town needs the plant to survive. Nye says that the plant is his or theirs. He always talks to Vash as if they're accomplices and are working together. And then does something to his gun. I'm not sure exactly what that was.
I don't either.
But it's only alluded to. He said something too. There's like a word for it. He's like, oh, you don't know how to do this yet, or something like that.
You haven't mastered your blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And so then he says bye. He's leaving. And as he goes to leave, people try and stop him because he's taking the plant. He also has people with him. He has this like gorilla robot, some kid who looks a lot like how he looked when he was a kid. Has a similar haircut, but they have long hair on the side. And some kind of like professor, doctor dude. I forgot what they called that guy. And so there's a lot of details. People are at this point are trying to stop Knives. They can't stop him though, because we find out later he has the robe he's wearing is comprised of, I guess, knives, a bunch of knives. And so bullets aren't doing the trick to him. He cuts off Nebraska's arm when he tries to stop him. And then 3 of the girls, including Rosa, try to stop him as well, shooting at him. They're incapable of hitting him. He starts pulling them in with his chain sword knife thing going on. He's like Dr. Octopus, but with knives. He's yanking people into the smoke. He's ripping them up into pieces. So he's definitely making his way out. And yeah, they have a little bit of a dialogue, but essentially he decides he's going to destroy everything and ruin the whole city. Vash knows this, so apparently he's done something like this before, because while he's getting ready to do this crazy thing where it's like an orb of knives above the city, Vash is like going to like destroy the whole town. and starts telling people to run, get out of the city. So again, a lot of bad things are happening here. And then the knives kind of come in together, cut up the rock that he was above, and shows after that parts of the town getting cut up as well into pieces, leaving the whole town in ruin as him and his team leave with the plants. They got everything. The city's left in ruin. A lot of people are dead. A lot of people are injured. Some people survived. And earlier in the episode, it was kind of just mentioned slightly that the senior journalist, I never know their names, kind of understood why they call him the human typhoon now, because it's a typhoon essentially around him wherever he goes. And so this kind of encapsulates that at the end, where Rosa is just kind of defeated at this point. She's lost everything. She says they can't survive, and that she wants Vash to just leave because he brought this, and it would have never happened if he wasn't there. In which him being Vash is happily ready to oblige that and leave, but he says he'll get the plant back for them. And he starts heading east to July, I think the name of the place was, where he says Knives is at. The journalists follow him, and we have a catalyst for a whole new direction the story is going. We have a purpose now. I think we're past introductions to the characters that are established so far, and we got a story going. Chevy, what did you think of this episode?
Well, I also wanted to note that at 3 points during the show, Vash was asked whose side he was on as well. So there's like this theme of basically people questioning his indifference or his indecisiveness. I should
That's
say.
a good observation. Yeah.
But
the way he talks too, he doesn't seem like he feels like he belongs anywhere either.
Yeah.
But people are all like kind of vying for like, where is your allegiance at?
Yeah, for sure. That being said, I loved this episode. They did a lot of cool stuff from beginning to end, really, like with the bomber dude, the entire like scene of like him going through the town and stuff like that. Seeing all the different like the bombs bouncing around and stuff, Vash occasionally shooting them, or like getting like hit by a little bit of explosion and stuff like that. The way his vehicle moves too is like crazy, because it's like it is the wheels, but it also can be like a way to grip it.
Yeah, it's weird because he was like inside like a ball at 1st, rolling around, and then it goes around the plant case or wherever that is, and so it becomes wheels around that, and then he's propelled in front of it like a vehicle. It's really kind of bizarre.
Yeah, and it's interesting that even afterwards, when it's holding onto the thing, it still is pulling him as a wheel. It's very modular in that way. Enjoyed that quite a bit. And then as we were kind of getting towards the point where the piano started playing, and the bomb dude goes up to like who I assumed hired him to be there in the first place, talk to Knives. Seeing all the blood come out of the building, I was like, oh, okay. That's not where I thought this was going. Again, just to remind people, in case it's the first one you're catching, we did not watch the original show, really, and did not read any source material. So this is kind of a first go for us with Trigun. And then, it goes back in and it kind of shows him, like, without his arms, just, spraying everywhere. I was like, okay, this is definitely going for... this whole idea that this guy is just a fucking badass. Also, a nice little touch with his bound hands being kind of stuck on the door. Was very creepy.
Kind of gross. Yeah. This whole episode, when he was introduced, played it out like almost like a horror movie.
Yeah.
They're trying to like really make him menacing.
When he was constantly like hidden in like smoke and sand and stuff like that too. So, what I really liked, though, is once he got to the top and we started seeing like more and more of the blades moving, first in chain form and then eventually with that entire spectacle above the town. That was some pretty cool direction. I really liked how all that looked. It came off very menacing. and just larger than life. It was pretty crazy. I love that a lot.
Yeah, everything escalated in this episode a lot.
Yeah.
Like from the last episode, there's already a lot of stuff going on, and then the end of the episode going into this one, it's like there's already shit happening. Like right at the beginning of the episode, I was just like, man, this town sucks.
Yeah.
But then as that's ending, it gets even worse. It gets even crazier when Knives and his crew show up. I am wondering if he like you said, hired that EG Bomber guy to like, help get the plant out of there.
Well, because he was talking to him super familiar. Like he heard the piano too and just ran straight to him. Like, oh, he's here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it seems like he was working with him. Obviously, he was expendable, but yeah, I mean, at the very least, if he goes in first, he can kind of get the town softened up by blowing people up and all that kind of thing. So really interesting.
Yeah. And then, yeah, like you said, we have a direction to go forward. Also noticed in the aftermath that both the Nebraskas seem to be fine. At the very least, the body of what's his name? Joseph or whatever. Joseph was there. So, yeah. And then walking off. I assume the reporters are gonna follow, but they didn't at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna.
Yeah, but overall, it was a great episode. It definitely, I think, and this is episode 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good example of the 3 episode rule for anime. I think I always hear people say that I'm going to give this one 1 or 3 episodes. I think this is definitely a 3 episode hook because I think the hook is there at this point. So.
Yeah, we finally have a motivation. Before this, it was like, this is the world, these are the people, this is what it's like, these are things to expect. This is Vash, this is his motivation on, like, how he's been existing. But, like, we don't have a story to propel yet. And this, I think, is finally the event that I can go, like, okay, now I know at least there's an objective that we're heading towards in the story. So
yeah, for sure.
It was definitely a pivotal episode in the 3 that we've seen so far. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. So.
I liked the episode as well. There's a lot that happened in it. Some pretty straightforward story that happened here, but just a lot of events just shoved into one episode, which was kind of crazy. Starting off with the whole EG Bomber thing, which I thought was a fun scenario. Not obviously, or not because like everybody's gonna die or whatever, but like it created this like quick like we got to figure this out kind of scenario that was interesting to watch. Gave us a cool chase scene. It seems like there's a lot of running in the show so far, whether people are after Vash or he's after somebody else. Like you said, him shooting the bombs, stuff like that, really cool looking. There's one scene where he was it when he was fighting Knives or shooting at Knives, something like that. He like reloaded his gun. The animation was like so smooth. Yeah. Anyway, I was just thinking of that. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun, but it started building into something a little more substantial where it wasn't just like, because for a second here I'm like, man, is every episode just gonna be like some kind of wild guy shows up?
I thought that for a moment too.
Yeah. And they gotta figure it out. It's like fucking Scooby-Doo or something. But it escalated, like I said, to something that is building towards something finally, and I appreciated that. The way they played it out, it felt slightly like it was taking its time to like build up Knives or whatever, especially because we already know who this guy is. But I think the payoff was worth it. I think especially when he started like killing people, it was pretty crazy. And then the end result where he's using his ultimate ability was really kind of crazy as well. I wasn't sure where that was going, but it was going everywhere and destroying the whole city. So yeah, I'll be really curious to see what happens in episode 4, because now we have a town full of people without a town, just in the desert. So we don't know what they're going to do. And then we get to find out where Vash is going next, because all I've seen so far in the show has been the desert in that town. So I'm excited to see where that goes. I do assume the journalists will follow, because he's the story. So what else would they be doing?
Yeah.
Unless they're just going to hang out and just disappear in the show. I doubt that's going to be the case, but I don't know. Like you said, we'd never watched the original one a whole lot, so I can only speculate. But yeah, big episode, really cool. Curious about the new characters they introduced. Some of them seem a little important. The gorilla robot thing was cool. They took both plants, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they took
Yeah, at the
even the
end,
red
the
one and
back
then
of the
the
vehicle.
yeah. So they took all that shit. Really curious to see where that's going, and really curious to see what this July place is going to be like, because he says Knives is going to be there, so I assume it's got to be something a little more robust than this place he was just at, which is like this kind of small town. But yeah, overall good episode. I liked it. I'm definitely stoked to see what they do in the next episode. And we say this every episode so far, but the 3D animation is really good. I really enjoy watching how they do that. Yeah, the show took a big turn in this episode.
Yeah.
Especially with the violence. I have to emphasize that again. It's not like a negative. I just didn't know that was this kind of show. So I was like, oh, this show can be kind of dark. Okay.
Yeah, though I do appreciate it because, like was mentioned earlier, doing the one-off, one episode villains constantly would get old.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Yeah, so.
Like, I had fun watching the whole EG Bomber thing, but without anything else, I would have been like, okay, so it's episode 4, like a new weird guy's going to show up and do some weird stuff, like
exactly.
the Nebraskas and everything, or the bounty hunter guy. So, yeah. But they didn't do that. Yeah. So we'll see. Anything else?
No, it was a good episode. I am invested at this point. So
yeah, same. Definitely invested in this one. So let's know in the comments what you guys think of episode 3 of this. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? If you liked it, what did you like about it? What you what part really stood out to you? What do you think about the Knives reveal? What do you think about the crazy move he did? What do you think about AG Bomber? And what are you hoping for when it comes to the show moving forward to July and all the rest of the things that could happen? And yeah, let me know what you think about in the comments below. But I've been Seth, this has been Chevy. Until the next episode, which will be our review of Nier Automata, we'll talk to you then. Later.